So, was anybody as disappointed as I was today that there was no general hospital the day after Thanksgiving? I sorta don't remember. Excuse me. Sorry, my glasses were giving me a glare and my light sort of sucks. Anyway, so does anybody remember if there was a general hospital episode today? Kinda sucked here because, there was a football game on instead, so I didn't get to see any general hospital. I don't recall there in the past not being a general hospital the day after Thanksgiving. I do remember that they usually did a rerun the day of Thanksgiving because, it's a holiday. They always do that on holidays, well, normally anyway. So I was just kind of disappointed that there was no general hospital today. So I don't know, if there was a general hospital today, could someone let me know what happened? Because I was really anxious to see what would happen with Edward's funeral. So, anyway, yes, because the 20th and the 21st when I watched it was the two saddest days, that there were, funerals are always sad, but anyway, the 20th and 21st were the two saddest days that I can remember in a while. Edward, on the 20th, it was his last, I can't really say appearance because all they did, they showed him in the bed, but they never really did show his face, so I don't know. But he died on the 20th of November on General Hospital, and so now they're getting ready to have a funeral. But so I was just wondering if today's episode, if there was one, if that's what it was. But anyway, so the 20th was, it's called Goodbye Edward because John Ingle had been on the show for 9 years, which is kind of long for a show. So he'd been on there for 9 years, and so they were doing it like a goodbye tribute thing, and so they were, like Michael and Sam and everybody who knew him came to say goodbye, or as many as could anyway. And then the 21st, they had, the final episode with him in it. It was a bunch of flashbacks of old scenes from him with a lot of the older characters like AJ and Sky and Ned and, people like that, people that hadn't been on the show in a really long time, and some current ones as well. But the most significant moment for me was at the end of the show, because it was also the Thanksgiving with the Quartermains, as they called it, episode, which was completely crazy anyway, because Heather escaped from Ferncliff, all these crazy things were happening. So anyway, first Michael walks in on I guess you'd call it the traditional fight, because that the Quartermains fought every year. So you'd call it the traditional fight. So Michael walks in on that and stops it and asks if this is how Edward would want them to remember him, because he had passed away. And so they stop fighting and everything, and it sort of goes back to normal. But Heather comes in and she's going through a bunch of stuff in the Quartermain's office, and Sky is walking through, and she asks Heather if she works here. Well, at this point we didn't know it was Heather, or we assumed it wasn't Heather anyway, or we were hoping. So, but she walks in and asks her if she works there and if she can have some aspirin. Well, Heather turns around and Sky identifies her and asks her what she's doing there, and then so they proceed to get in a little bit of an argument, and then she says she's going to call somebody at Ferncliff, and Heather holds her at knife point and whatever, and Alice comes in because everybody hears Sky scream, and so Ned is like trying to get Heather to let Sky go, and Alice comes in behind and smacks her in the head with something and knocks her out. So, and then they call the Ferncliff, and they come get her, and she's obviously come to by then, and on the way out the door she just says she wanted to spend time with family and all this because it was Thanksgiving. And so those were two crazy things that happened. But then there were a bunch of like flashback moments and everything else as far as Edward goes, like older scenes and just memories of him with the various characters. And at the very end there's a scene where they're doing the Thanksgiving dinner, and by the way, the Thanksgiving dinner was ruined because Heather had sort of thrown things everywhere and whatever when she came to, and so the Thanksgiving Day dinner was ruined, and so they were wondering what they were going to do for Thanksgiving, and they decided to order pizza, but the pizza parlor is closed, and they're never closed on Thanksgiving. And weirdly enough, some pizzas show up at the door, and no one ever really knows how they get there. So Alice brings all the pizzas in, and they decide that, they decide to go ahead and eat and everything. And at the very end of the show, John Ingle, he did the traditional Thanksgiving Day song. I think it's a prayer, but he did the Thanksgiving Day song every year. And so the final scene is when he's leading them in that song, and they show him from the back, and then they pan out, and along beside him is Lila. Now Lila hasn't really been a part of the show for like the last 15 or so years because she had passed away. Anna Lee had passed away in real life, and so they did a tribute to her like 15 years ago, and so she hasn't been a part of the show except for like memory sequences and things. So to see them both sort of together and everything, I was just like blown away, and it took my breath away. But the very, very last scene after they do the Thanksgiving Day singing thing, and by the way, Edward is like sort of singled out for a minute, and you see him leading this song, and then everybody joins in, and it's just a really sad monumental moment because it's it would have been his last Thanksgiving, and so they sort of wanted to make it the best one, but that, as we know, that's not how it worked out. So, but anyway, so at the very end, they teach, or they show Lila and Edward going up the stairs hand in hand together, and then they just sort of fade away. And that is the best iconic moment of General Hospital ever, because now we know that Lila and Edward are together in heaven, or so yes, so the 20th and the 21st were the two saddest episodes that I can recall in a really long time, but they were well done. So I give a lot of, I love the new writers. They are wonderful, and they're doing an amazing job. So I don't know, just let me know what you think about General Hospital on the 20th and 21st, if you were as sad as I was, or whatever your feelings are. So yes, so that was John Ingle was amazing as Edward, and he will never be forgotten. He will always be missed. And yeah, so that's my feelings on General Hospital this week. Bye!